Now I got your picture, so I won't forget about you. Well, give me a picture. I want a picture of you. I got to expand my. I don't even. Ashley gave me hers, but I have nowhere to put it now. So I will. All right, let's do this. It says C is directly west of A. We're going to do 3 sample problems today. No assignment on it, but this is just going to help you prepare for the test. And then you'll have the rest of the time to work. C is directly west of A. And so the first thing that you should do when you see problems like this is draw what? Draw your grid. What? All right. Got my grid. It says angle A is 110 degrees. It says that angle B is 28 degrees. And angle C is 42 degrees. That's good. So there is a right answer here, but you tell me, which is the easiest bearing to find? C to A. What is the bearing from C to A? 90. Very good. C to A is 90 degrees. How would you describe that in terms of navigation? Be straight east, right? What would be the bearing from A to C? Be straight west. So those would be the 2 gimme problems on the test. You know, I mean, we would want to see those 2 as obvious. All right? What? No, you could just do the degrees. That'll be fine. We're practicing this so then we can do the word problems. Yeah, I'll show you that. No, it's not bad at all. It went very well second hour. You guys will like it too. C to B. Well, that's a little bit more difficult. How do you want to do C to B? You tell me. Very good. So a good friend of mine, I don't know if you know her name is Devin, and she was in my study hall this morning, and she actually constructed a compass out of paper so she could practice taking it and setting it right on her spot, and then realizing, yes, I am traveling in the northeast direction. Now, so my bearing will be between what 2 degrees? 0 degrees and 90 degrees. So how would you calculate your bearing then? 42 back of 90. Now, you could do the other way, and this came up second hour, and this was very helpful. Some people said, well, you know, I go back of 90 to get, 42 degrees back of 90. And some people said, well, I want to do this. I'm going to take 48 and go in front of 0. Either way, it's the same thing. What's your bearing? Either way, your bearing is 48 degrees from C to B. And what is that in terms of navigation? North, east, 48 degrees north of east. There you go. Or 48 degrees east of north, excuse me. B to C. Oh boy. Looks like that's 42 degrees up there. So, good. So, Devin takes her little compass and she moves it right over here and she says, hey, now I know that I'm traveling in the southwest direction, and now you have to choose. Do you want to use your west line? Do you want to use your south line, your north line, your east line? It's up to you. What do you want to choose? Okay, Whitney wants to choose west. Okay, so west has a bearing of 270, And you go ahead of 270 or behind 270? Behind by how much? 42. So we subtract 42 off of 270, and we get 228 degrees. Now, when we find navigational bearings, we need to start at north or south, and we want the acute angle. So we should really start at south, and we want to move to there. How many degrees is that? 48. So south, 48 degrees in what direction? West. Devin, you didn't look like you liked that last one. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to move it down to A. Let's go from A to B. Well, if that angle is 110, what's the supplementary angle? 70 degrees, which would make this 20 degrees. Well, this is a straight line, 180 degrees, and 110 and 70 make 180. So you can, you know, what reference are you going to use? Are you going to use north, east, south, west? What are you going to use? I would choose to use east. It's sitting right here. You know that that is 90. How many degrees back of 90 are we? 70 degrees back of 90, which brings us to 20. So what's that bearing? Navigational. Right, so this angle right here is 20. So it's 20 degrees east of north. And then B to A. Well, you know, I can move right back up to where I was, and now you got to choose which one you want to use. Do you want to use north, east, south, west? You can use either of them, any of them. Okay, so south is what? What's the bearing south? 180. And in order to get to this line right here, traveling from B to C, how many degrees do I turn past south? I'm sorry, we're going B to A. I'm sorry. Going from B to A, how many degrees past south do we turn? 20. And 20 degrees past 180 is 200. So south, 20 degrees to the west. So look at the relationship here, people. 20 and 200, what did they differ by? 180. So that's the way to check to see if you did it right. 228 and 48, what do they differ by? 180. 270 and 90, 180. All right? So piece of cake, upside down. Now, on your study guide, I give you 2 sample problems like this. I haven't made the answer key yet. I'll do that tomorrow. But does that feel better than it did yesterday? Yeah, tomorrow you have all day to work on your study guide. And you have 20 minutes today. So let's just do these last 2 problems here. Two ships leave a port at noon. Ship A is traveling at a bearing of north 32 degrees west at a speed of 5 miles an hour. Ship B is traveling at a bearing of south 75 degrees east at a speed of 4 miles per hour. How far apart are they at 4 p.m.? This looks like a complicated problem. Trust me, just be patient. You will understand it completely. Just follow my steps. Let us draw a compass. Michael, if you refuse to be part of the group, you can't grow. Deo said, I don't want to draw a compass. And I said, Deo, if you are not going to be part of the group, you can't grow. No, it's from a commercial way back in my day. Nike commercial, a Let's Be Fast commercial, or it's okay to be fast. Anyway, let's get to the problem. Ship A is traveling at a bearing north 32 degrees west. How do I draw north 32 degrees west? Yeah, 32 degrees from north in the westerly direction. So I'm over here. I'm northwest. So which angle is 32? The bottom one or the top one? Top one. And ship B is traveling at a bearing south 75 degrees east. So I'm headed in the southeast direction. Which angle is 75? The top or the bottom one? Bottom. Okay. And it's wondering how far apart they are. So let's put them at some spots. We'll say that this one's up here and this one's right down here. Okay. Well, we need some distances. It says that ship A is traveling at a speed of 5 miles an hour. It says that the ships leave at noon. We leave at noon. One's traveling at 5, one's traveling at 4, and we're wondering how far apart they are at 4 p.m. So how long have they traveled at 4 p.m.? How many hours have they traveled for? 4 hours they've been traveling for, okay? So if the ship A has been traveling at 5 miles an hour, how many miles has it gone? 20. And if ship B is traveling at 4 miles an hour, how many miles has it traveled? 16. Hey, I've got 2 legs here. Now I am going to draw this piece in my perfectly straight line. And I end up with a triangle. So we know that that's 90 degrees. We know that this angle right here we said was 32 degrees. And if that's 75, then this angle would be 15 degrees. So I really have a triangle that looks like this, where this is 16, this is 20, and then what is that angle? 137. And I want to find this opposite side. We'll call it C. What do you use to find that? Law of cosines, baby. Okay, well, this angle right here plus 90 plus this angle right here. So 32 plus 90 plus 15 will give me my 137. Law of cosines. Why did you choose the law of cosines, bro? Included angle, you mean? So side angle, side. Side angle, side says we use the law of cosines. So I will say the law of cosines says c squared equals a squared. 16 squared minus 2 times 20 times 16 times the cosine of now just note, is the cosine of 137 going to be positive or negative? Negative because it's in the second quadrant. Cosine's negative in the second quadrant. So they actually end up adding all of this stuff together in the end. But if you just type in your calculator, then you don't even have to worry about that. So 20 squared plus 16 squared, whoop, minus 2 times 20 times 16 times cosine of 137, parentheses. Done. Is that my distance? What do I have to do? square root. Yeah. You guys are super smart. 33.53. 33.53 miles. That wasn't too bad, was it? That's all you got to do for that. So can you draw the bearings? You see how we found the 20 and the 16? And then we use the law of cosine. So you're good to go. We do the last problem here on the back side. Plane flies 300 miles at a bearing of. I'm going to draw my compass. I got a plane flying at a bearing of north 80 degrees east. What does that look like? Like that? Where that amount is 80 degrees. Okay. And it travels for 300 miles at that bearing. We'll call that 300. Okie dokie. Then the plane turns and flies. Oh, I switched this. I'm sorry. We could still do the problem with north 70, but the triangle is really, really obtuse, and it's just harder to draw. It's much easier if we go 20. Sorry. I meant for it to be 20. So straight north from here would look like that, right? So north 20 degrees east would look about like that, right? So I just picked a spot saying that that's going to represent 300. And it travels in that direction for 400 miles. The question is, how far apart are they? Or how far is it from its original position? And so we're wondering this length C. So I made a triangle. I don't really have an angle yet, do I? What do you think? That's a thought. It came up second hour. There's an easier way to do this. And but Sam, first, what? Right. Yeah, some people wanted to wanted to do that, and that's okay. You could do it like that. There is a little bit easier way to do it, and so I'll show you. But the way you guys are talking about that'll work out. It'll take a little bit longer, and I think there's a better way to teach it. So yeah, instead of focusing though on this red angle, I want you guys to focus on this blue angle here for a second. Okay. Oh no, I'm sorry, that one is not. Nope. If I'm flying at 80, and not quite, if I'm flying at 80 and I turn to fly at 20, how many degrees did I turn? I turned 60. See how I got that? I was flying at 80, 80-degree bearing, 20-degree bearing. So the difference between the two angles must be 60. Uh-huh. -80 minus 20. I was flying at 80. I turned back to fly at 20. That was a turn of 60 degrees. So, yes, very good, Michael. We now use the law of cosines again, which says C is equal to, or C squared is equal to 300 squared plus 400 squared minus 2 times 300 times 400 times the cosine of 120. Piece of cake upside down. What do you get from that? Sure. Um, so I'm traveling at an 80-degree angle or 80-degree bearing, and I turn to fly at a 20-degree bearing. And so I had to turn 60 degrees. 80 minus 20. 608. There you go. Yep. So I showed you guys how to set it up, and I will not deviate from those problems that are on the test. You have some practices on your study guide. I'll show you that right now. Goodbye, YouTube Nation. We hope you enjoyed. We had fun as well.